Good morning, good afternoon, welcome back or welcome to another edition of Rabona TV's Weekend Recap every Monday here on Rabona TV, so subscribe if you're new. My name's Adrian, I hope you're doing well and you had a restful, or at the bare minimum, an enjoyable weekend. Parts of Spain, including Madrid, were smacked this weekend with a snowstorm, thus ensuring that the league leaders Atletico Madrid would have to postpone their match against Athletic Bilbao, Marcelino's Athletic Bilbao, who put in a good shift against Barcelona midweek. And so with that in mind, would they stay atop the table despite now having 3 matches in hand? Anyone surpassing Atletico this week? Well, Real Madrid was able to play as they were away to Osasuna and may as well have been playing against a brick wall. Very difficult to break down the bottom dwellers, and you could argue that the best chance of the match went to the hosts, Osasuna. So 0-0 the final there. Real Madrid unbeaten in 8 matches still, but with every draw and with the form Atletico was in, you feel like they're falling off a bit in the title race. In the moment, that is. We're just halfway through the season, of course. I guess it's more the teams that they are dropping points against that must be frustrating for their fans. Deportivo Alavés, Elche, Osasuna, Cadiz, Valencia, and less egregious in Villarreal. But those other teams are far below them in the standings and in talent, so they are inexcusable in my opinion. Mind you, Cadiz have had some great results this season. Unai Emery's Villarreal continue to impress as they got a massive 4-0 victory over fellow top 10 side Celta Vigo to continue their great season. All 4 of their goals were scored in the first half hour, well, 31 minutes, I should say, to be exact, with Gerard Moreno scoring what was his 10th goal of the season. That's good for second in La Liga's Pichichi race. First in the Pichichi, currently at least, Mr. Lionel Messi, who scored a brace against Granada. This was a solid performance from Barcelona, who midweek showed some great signs of life and improvement in their 3-2 victory over Athletic Bilbao. Close in scoreline, but the performances were enjoyable from Barcelona, and they carried that over in their victory over Granada this weekend. They were fairly dominant across the board, and we saw a great performance out of Antoine Griezmann. He scored the first, assisted Messi for the second, and then scored a second himself later in the match. His second season is coming off great, isn't it? 2 goals from Messi, sandwiched between 2 goals from Griezmann and an assist for Ousmane Dembele to boot, as he has put in a few good performances in a row now for Barcelona. 4-0 the final. Of course, we also had a top matchup between Sevilla and Real Sociedad, and this is 2 teams heading in the opposite directions as far as form goes, which is unfortunate for the future champs Real Sociedad. This weekend, they fought hard away to Sevilla, a great match to have taken in, by the way, but La Real were bested by an incredibly in-form Youssef En-Nesyri. The Moroccan has really improved upon his form this season, way past what it was at the end of last season when he was consistently inconsistent. Those 3 goals handed Sevilla the win over Real Sociedad, stretched Sevilla's unbeaten run to 6 matches, and stretches Real Sociedad's winless run to just 2 matches. And so, despite Atletico not playing this weekend and having played, in some cases at least, 3 matches fewer than the chasing pack, they are still atop the La Liga standings with 38 points from 15 matches. Real Madrid and Barcelona are still behind them in 2nd and 3rd, and the La Liga table is looking a lot more familiar now. The big 3 and the top 3. It has finally happened. Rejoice. FC Schalke 04 have won a match, ladies and gentlemen, on January 9th. FC Schalke avoided going a full 365 days without a victory as they absolutely stormed to a full 3 points against Hoffenheim. They've done it. They didn't just win, they toppled and destroyed Hoffenheim. 4-0 the final for Schalke as their newest manager, Christian Gross, gets their first Bundesliga victory in 357 long days. Incredible stuff, man. It took Gross just 2 Bundesliga matches to get it done. Here's hoping this club and manager can turn things around, because a club that big, a club with that much support, remember they are the club with the 2nd biggest number of members in Germany behind Bayern Munich, for them to go down just doesn't seem right. But just because it doesn't seem right doesn't mean it won't happen. People said the same things about Stuttgart. Matches against Eintracht Frankfurt and FC Köln up next. Difficult, but not impossible if they can find some form. In fact, this weekend, Eintracht Frankfurt beat the new bottom-of-the-table club, FSV Mainz, 2-0 on the day. Andre Silva with 2 penalties in order for Frankfurt to overcome Mainz. He scored 11 in 14 matches now for Frankfurt this season. He's having a good one. And as for Köln, it seemed like their form was trending in the right direction for a bit, prior to the winter break at least, but it's been back-to-back bad-to-bad for them. This weekend they went away to Freiburg, one of the most informed teams in Germany right now actually, and Freiburg slapped the life out of Köln over and over and over again. 5-0 the final, and that makes it 5 wins consecutively for Freiburg, unbeaten in 7 matches. What a turnaround from them, as they started the season pretty slow. Bayer Leverkusen tied 1-1 with Werder Bremen as they're having some issues getting back onto the old saddle, so to speak. Hard to find those wins again for them, as they're now winless in 3 matches, which is glaring considering how they opened the season. But there were some absolutely massive matches in Germany this weekend. First, we had Borussia Monchengladbach hosting Bayern Munich on Friday night. Gladbach have been notoriously poor domestically this season, in comparison at least, keywords there, to their European form. They've not been as good in Germany, while Bayern have shown some signs of perhaps some sort of fatigue, shown that they aren't always raring to go and are guilty of being slow starters off of the rip. Now, of course, they have an incredibly talented squad, so they can make up for it. They can sort of cover over the cracks in some cases. But the opposite happened in this match. We saw Bayern start extremely well, knowing that they were up against an extremely capable side. They got it up for it, and they took the initiative. First, we had Alphonso Davies winning a penalty for the Bavarian Giants after 19 minutes, with Robert Lewandowski converting from the spot. Then, Leroy Sané, who is getting regular opportunities now, and I think taking advantage of them. He set up Leon Goretzka to make it 2-0 to the visitors after 26 minutes. I thought we were heading towards a big, emphatic Bayern win to quash one of their, challengers or stronger teams in Germany. And then the Hoffmann show started. Jonas Hoffmann grabbed hold of this match for Die Fohlen and almost single-handedly won it. Spoiler alert. Though he had some great support from Lars Stindl and a great showing from the backline ensured the result stayed. But anyways, Hoffmann made it 2-1 in the 35th minute, equalized in the 45th minute to make it 2-2, and set up Florian Neuhaus in the 49th minute right after the half to make it 3-2 Mönchengladbach, and they held on, handing another loss to Bayern Munich. What a result for Marco Rose, one of their best performances this season domestically, and perhaps that will become a regular occurrence for them. This could be a catalyst for them. As for Bayern, as Manuel Veth said in a conversation with me about how Bayern hasn't been running away with the league lately, and that the chasing pack has failed to capitalize on their mistakes in the last few seasons, I think that this is further proof to his argument of that. 15 matches in, and Bayern has won 10, drawn 3, and lost twice. They've dropped points on 5 occasions now, and you have to wonder if anyone else is up to the task of capitalizing on that. Leipzig? Dortmund? Anyone? Well, actually, those two teams played this weekend, and it wasn't one to remember for Leipzig. One of the hallmarks of the side, under Julian Nagelsmann at least, has been their emerging defensive solidity. Something he was able to sort out well at Hoffenheim as well, for the most part. But on this weekend, that defense leaked 3 goals. And I know what you're probably thinking. They leaked goals against Istanbul Başakşehir. They leaked goals against Manchester United. I'm talking about domestically. The questions have surrounded how Leipzig would fill in the goals from the departing Timo Werner in the attack. And I think that's a question that is still left unanswered for the moment. They brought in Sorlath, who actually scored right at the death of this match, but he hasn't played a ton and thus hasn't scored a ton either. But for Dortmund, it was a day to remember. Playing away to Leipzig, the Jadon Sancho resurgence continued in a big way as he put in another top performance for the season. It was just last weekend that we said, goal and assist, probably his best performance of the season so far. But I think that this one trumps that, proving he's back on the up. In a much improved second half from Borussia Dortmund, Marco Reus's brilliant little flick through the legs fell perfectly to Sancho, and he rifled it into the bottom corner. He made no mistake there. Reus and Sancho were fantastic to watch. And Erling Haaland, he wasn't too bad himself. 15 minutes after Sancho's goal, he showed just how strong and technically gifted he is in dribbling out of this position before dishing the ball to the left, floating to the back post, and heading in to make it 2-0 from a Sancho cross. Beautiful stuff. Great attacking pattern there. Then Haaland made it 3 in the 84th minute, a perfectly weighted reverse through ball from Marco Reus to put the big Norwegian in behind, and he rounded the keeper for 3-0. Great performance from Dortmund in the second half, the kind of result you expect from them under the right circumstances. And with Bayern's loss, things are quite tight at the top. Leipzig could have leapt over Bayern with a win, but that loss still leaves them, just 2 points behind Bayern, with Leverkusen on 29 points and Dortmund on 28. What could have been if Leverkusen had continued their great run and won even just 2 of their last 3 matches? Then we'd be talking about a very fun title race close to the halfway point of the season. It was an FA Cup weekend in England. Of course, the match that got a ton of attention was Tottenham getting drawn up against Marine FC, a team that is 8 tiers below Spurs in English football's pyramid. Here's a visualization of which that I found on Reddit, credited below, in order to illustrate just how big the gap is between the two clubs. Of course, Tottenham won. No FA Cup magic in this particular tie, as Spurs won 5-0 thanks to a first half hat-trick from Vinicius and a goal apiece from Lucas Moura and 16-year-old Alfie Devine. Great free kick from Lucas Moura. Perhaps the biggest shock of the round was Leeds losing 3-0 to Crawley Town, a team that plays in League 2, 3 divisions below Leeds. Inexcusable stuff. I don't want to hear anymore, but Leeds play exciting football. It's great to watch under Bielsa. Until he sorts that defense out, man. It's great to play attractive stuff, but if you're losing and hemorrhaging goals all the time against Crawley Town as well, jeez. Crawley with the giant killing. Everton survived against Rotherham as they won 2-1 in a match they will want to just move past now. I mean, Rotherham do play in the championship. You know, it's not like they're 4 leagues below them, but they are the second worst side in the championship. So to require extra time to beat them isn't a great look for them. But hey, Everton move on, 2-1 the final there. Liverpool beat Aston Villa 19, 4-1 away. Domination from Liverpool as they depleted a Villa side who were just walked all over. The scoreline was kind to them in this one, I'd say, as it could have been 6 or 7 from Liverpool. Aston Villa, 2 shots, 1 on target, and one of which being a goal from 17-year-old Louis Barry. Wolves dumped Crystal Palace out with a 1-0 win. Blackpool beat West Brom on penalties to dump the Premier League side out. Leicester, Arsenal, and United all advanced against Stoke, Newcastle, and Watford, respectively. Chelsea stormed past Morecambe with a expected 4-0 scoreline, while Man City looked great in their first half against Birmingham City, winning 3-0 and shutting it down for the second half. Another goal for Phil Foden. Get that Phil Foden propaganda going, baby. As of the time of filming this, the draw for the next round has not been made, so let's wrap things up in Italy. The good vibes are continuing in Italy for Atalanta as they won yet another match. This weekend, they defeated Benevento away with a 4-1 victory as Josip Ilicic continues to show just how much they were missing him in the latter half of last season. How things could have been different for Atalanta in their Champions League run if they had this man Ilicic available to them. Dare to dream. But hey, we can't live in the past. And presently, Atalanta are doing extremely well. Ilicic with a goal and an assist, Duvan Zapata with yet another goal, he's on fire, Rafael Toloi and Luis Muriel getting in on the fun. Things are looking rosy beyond the obvious dark splotch of inevitably losing Papu Gomez soon, unless there's some major making up between himself and Gasperini. In fact, an update for you. Here's what Gasperini had to say recently when asked about the Argentinian. We had great times with him, but his exclusion is a decision based on the fact that we needed to find a different type of team, because at the time, we were suffering. It's only a tactical thing, as I wanted to help Martin de Roon and Remo Freuler more. It's something that we'd always done, but at that point, it wasn't accepted. Gomez didn't adapt. At first I was like, I don't know how much I believe this guy, but seeing the obvious change in Atalanta's season, maybe it is just down to that. I don't know. Something tells me there's more to it than just that though. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, and of course there are always 2 sides to every story, so we'll see what happens. But Atalanta are unbeaten in 7 matches now, and since dropping Papu, they have won 4 matches and drawn once, scoring 18 goals in the process. After losing to Juve midweek, thus losing their unbeaten title in the Serie A, AC Milan got back to winning this weekend against a different Turin opponent, beating Torino 2-0 at the San Siro, goals from Rafael Leão, and a penalty from Franck Kessié. Wait a minute, this all sounds very familiar. Franck Kessié penalty, goal from Rafael Leão. Roma and Inter offered up a tasty matchup, 2 teams in solid form and 2 teams that are within touching distance of each other in the league standings, and in this one, often a problem for Inter Milan started really well, having the better of the chances before AS Roma grabbed the opener in the 17th minute from a Pellegrini strike low past Handanovic. They started well, but then they conceded early. That's how she goes. But in the second half, Inter were vastly improved. In fact, they actually closed out the first half really well, but in the 56th minute of the second half, Brozovic's corner was met by Milan Skriniar. What a resurgence from Skriniar, as he's looked like he was on the outs this summer. heading one in from the corner. Another towering header from an Inter defender, as the commentator said. Brozovic got a second assist later when he sprayed the ball wide to Hakimi, who cut inside and scored a Rabona TV trademark goal. Beautiful strike in off of the bar from the edge of the box. A lovely smack off of the underside before bouncing into the roof of the net. You love to see that. 2-1 Inter, but Roma would draw themselves level in the 86th minute from a corner as Mancini's glancing header bounced past Handanovic. 2-2 the final. You could feel the goal coming as AS Roma were really piling on the pressure. And you also got the feeling that Inter kind of gave this one away, namely Conte, as he took off Lautaro, Vidal, he was injured, and Hakimi in order to bring on Perisic, Gagliardini, and Kolarov. Seems weird. Maybe they're carrying knocks, I don't know. And of course, Juve took on Sassuolo on Sunday evening, with Sassuolo looking to continue their winning ways after getting back on track versus Genoa midweek. Juve, they're coming off of that win over AC Milan, begging the question of whether or not we are starting to see Pirlo's vision for this Juve squad. If his vision was to be flat and goal shy, then hey, we saw it again, because Juve was goal shy in this one. Even when they were one man up from Sassuolo's Obiang getting a straight red card for a studs-up tackle on Chiesa, they couldn't have their way with this defiant Sassuolo side, as you might have expected from being a man up. Danilo provided the opener for Juve in the 50th minute with an absolute screamer from distance that found the bottom corner of Consili's goal, but 8 minutes later, Sassuolo got a much-deserved equalizer via Grégoire Defrel, who was a fantastic performer on the night. Watching him, Hamed Traoré, and Locatelli was a joy. Traoré, by the way, is the older brother of Amad Traoré, who recently signed for Man United. Just FYI. Even a man down, Sassuolo never really looked overly distressed. They were never afraid to tack, and you've got to admire them for that. Two sides of every coin, though, and while Sassuolo played well, Juve really should have dealt with them and secured the 3 points. And they did in the 81st minute. Vlad Kirikez played so well in this match. Until the 81st minute, when he left a squared ball across the box. He didn't deal with it himself, and Aaron Ramsey was at the far end of it to slide and finish and make it 2-1. And later Ronaldo countered well and made up for his earlier miss to make it 3-1. So 3-1 Juve in the end. A harsh result for Sassuolo, but you have to be switched on at all times. And Chiriches, whatever you want to call him, and it turns Sassuolo ultimately paid the price. 3-1 Juve, but a poor performance from Juve overall, I find. So that win moves Juve up, and with a match in hand, they could move up into third past AS Roma, but still behind league leaders AC Milan and second place Inter, no matter what happens in that match. Okay guys, that's all from me, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. We do this pretty much every Monday, unless it's an international break or there's some other sort of circumstances that prevent me from doing so. My name's Adrian, I love ya, and take care of yourself. Ciao.